Good afternoon and welcome. I am Lynn Hayes Freeland from KDKA, and it is my privilege to welcome each and every one of you this afternoon to Share 2015. It is an afternoon about communicating, collaborating, and doing commerce. Today you will form relationships, you will renew relationships, and you'll walk away understanding the significance of building new relationships. We have a lot to do, we have a lot to share, and in some cases, a lot to learn. Here to bring you opening remarks is Mary Cheeks, the Chief Financial Officer of the Rivers Casino.
Good afternoon. Welcome everyone to Rivers Casino. It's our pleasure to have you here, and thank you very much for your participation, and enjoy.
As I said, today is about building relationships. And one of the things that we have certainly seen in recent months is that sometimes building relationships takes skill. It takes talent, it takes ability, and it takes commitment. Who better to bring remarks than an individual who has exhibited all of those than the Chief Executive of Allegheny County, Rich Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Lynn. There's an old line in politics, there's no such thing as a bad short speech. I bet Mary certainly, she wins the prize. I don't know if I'm going to be able to top that, Mary. You put a lot of pressure on us. Because I want to talk about a lot of the good things that we've done, and a lot of the good things that we've done with some of the folks in this room, and the partnering that we've been able to do over the last few years, including with our mayor, Mayor Peduto, who's obviously very committed to the same goals that we have in the county, and working together, we get to do a lot of those things. And Ruth is here, and I will identify some of the folks who've been very important in what we're doing in Allegheny County. But I want to just give a couple statistics, because it is important to me. I've had the opportunity of appointing 39 directors and deputy directors since I've been the county executive. These are the people who are running each department, each authority, each agency. And 29% of those directors and deputy directors have been African American. I'm very proud of that fact. Also, 17% of our workforce in the county is minority, and we're very, very proud of that. And I want to talk about the MWDBE program that Ruth leads and is committed to, and making sure, every day we're moving on in what we wanted to do. In 2013, we've certified 524 firms. 64% of those are in our county, and the bulk of those are small companies that are under $100,000 in gross receipts. But we've been very committed to making sure that the contracts that we give out in Allegheny County do go to firms with the MWDBE designation. Of the purchasing contracts we've given out, 40% have been to those firms, an increase of that used to be at 16%. Our public works contracts, 30% have gone to minority firms. Economic development, 22%, and human services, 30%. And our authorities also are following the same pattern, with our airport authority at 16%, the housing authority at 11%, I'm going to improve on that one, the port authority 20%, and the SEA, the Sports and Exhibition Authority, 36%. So this is something that we are very much committed to. And I think all of us working together, and I'm so glad that, that Rob is here today, the keynote speaker. He and UPMC have been leaders when we've brought together corporate diversity and corporate equity roundtables. They've been taking the lead within the private sector, and that's what we want to make sure, that we're all invested in this, not just the governmental sector with the city and the county and the government sector, but also that our nonprofits, our universities, our corporate community, that everybody's engaged in this. And Ruth Bird Smith, our director of the MWDBE program, Bob Hurley, our Director of Economic Development, our Public Works Director, County Manager Willie McCain. The whole administration is committed to making sure that we do this, as well as our authorities. So I appreciate everybody being here today so we can learn from each other. We can improve on what I think are improving numbers, but we can improve even further and make sure that all the good things that are happening in Allegheny County right now, all the great things, the economic climate that continues to improve and the great economic statistics, that everybody gets to share in those good times that are happening right now. We want to make sure that that is the case, that nobody's left behind. We want to provide those opportunities and those outcomes. So I appreciate everybody being here today, working together, continuing to collaborate. Ruth, continue the good work. And Lynn, thank you very much. And Mary, sorry I couldn't get as short as you, but it's the best I could do. Thank you.
Share 2015 is the first event of this kind to happen in the region. It takes leadership to put it together. It takes leadership to make it grow. Rob DeMiche represents that type of leadership. He is the Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer with UPMC, and today he brings our keynote address. Please welcome him.
Good afternoon, everybody. So let's start with a couple of thank yous. Great crowd, standing room only, so we love to see that. So just to start with, I want to thank our lovely host, Lynn Hayes-Freeland. Thank you, Lynn. You do a fantastic job with this. I certainly want to thank County Executive Fitzgerald, if he's still here. Maybe not, he's on to the next event. But Rich has been a tireless and engaged supporter of all these efforts. He's at every venue, and he's backing up the talk with actions. And so we're very proud to have the county and Rich Fitzgerald as a partner. So thank you, Rich. The Rivers Casino, just look around, look out that window. So the Rivers has been an amazing partner to provide this venue for us, for all the work that they've done. I do want to recognize the Rivers Casino. Thank you. We don't have much of a budget, so we appreciate the Rivers coming through with the venue, so that's really great. The organizing committee that put this together, and I want to read the names because this is the committee really that drove this event that you're going to experience today. Tony Silva from UPMC. Okay, let's hold our applause to the end, actually. Joel Acey from UPMC. Nick Nichols from the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council, Maureen Seski from PNC, Ruth Bird Smith from Allegheny County, Lisa Murdoch from Consol Energy, April Thorpe from the Rivers Casino, and Ramon Hart from the Rivers Casino. This is the organizing committee that put this event together today. They did a fantastic job. Thank you. And I also want to thank, in addition to the corporations, in addition to the vendors, we have a number of community partners that are here today. I think Lynn's going to announce the community partners, but we want to thank all the community partners for attending, for supporting, and they'll be doing presentations later in the day, I guess, in this room, while the rest of us in the matchmaking session. So thank you to the community partners. So why are we here today? This is really a result of the Corporate Equity and Inclusion Roundtable. Is Tim Stevens here? Tim? He's going to be making a grand entrance. Well, so many of you are familiar with the Corporate Equity Inclusion Roundtable. So Tim has really been driving the community to engage in a serious dialogue, but not just a dialogue, but actually actions to get things done. And so we have partnered with Tim, UPMC has, and others in the community, and we had committed to Tim that we would be really a driving force between his efforts with the CEIR, and so this is the part that we play in it. In 2014, we had the UPMC Collaboration for Growth event about this time last year, so it was similar, but it was UPMC and its suppliers meeting the rest of the Pittsburgh business community. So moving into 2015, we wanted to do something even bigger. So we said this has got to be bigger than just a UPMC event. This has to be a community event. And so we enlisted the Pittsburgh corporate community, and we came up with the idea of Share 2015. And that's why we're here today. And it was really the courage and the commitment of the 6 organizations on that organizing committee. And I do want to note them again: Allegheny County, Consol Energy, the Eastern MSDC, PNC, the Rivers Casino, and UPMC. These are the 6 organizations on the organizing committee that drove this event that you have in front of you today. That is a big deal, and I thank you. This is commitment, this is time, this is dollars. It's a big deal. So thank you for those 6 organizations that are really driving this event. So we're calling this Share 2015, and that is meant to be a double entendre. And the 2 meanings of that, basically, when we say the word share, we want to have corporate Pittsburgh sharing their lists of MWDBEs. So we're doing that. The corporations are here today sharing their best MWDBEs with the rest of corporate Pittsburgh. So everyone brought 3 of their best MWDBEs, and they also bought their procurement departments or representatives, the people that make the buying decisions, to meet the best-in-class MWDBEs. The other part of Share is that these are Pittsburgh's best. They need to share. They need a bigger share of that pie that's out there, that spend in Pittsburgh. So we want to share each other's suppliers, but you've earned the right to get a bigger share of the pie in terms of your revenues and to find new customers. So that is really the genesis, the driving force around today's event. So back in December, we started to invite corporations. We invited 111 of Western Pennsylvania's largest corporations to this event. And this was back in December. The good news is 24 of them said yes, and they're here today, participating fully. And I want to acknowledge each and every one of those corporations because it's important. It's a big deal. You're spending time, you're spending resources, you're committed to this effort. Those 24 corporations, 84 Lumber, Alcoa, Elkasan, Allegheny County, Allegheny County Airport Authority, American Eagle Outfitters, CCAC, Chatham University, Consol Energy, EQT, Erie Insurance, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Pittsburgh, Highmark Health, the Housing Authority for the City of Pittsburgh, the Pennsylvania Housing Finance Agency, People's Gas, the Pittsburgh Public Schools, PJ Dick, PNC Bank, the Port Authority of Allegheny County, the Rivers Casino, UPMC, Urban Lending Solutions, and Worldwide Technologies. These are the 24 corporations who are committed to this initiative, and I thank them. That's a big deal. So the bad news is that 87 of those 111 either said no or didn't say anything at all. So I want you to think about that. That invite went out in December. So you can't say you didn't have enough time to participate. So something else was more important, or this isn't important. And so you can infer who's not here. But I think this is the kind of thing, when we reach out to the community with plenty of time, with passion, with an organization, with a venue, with a group of committed community leaders, where everybody needs to step up. So this just shows you there's a real positive message about the exciting things we're going to do today, but we still have a ways to go. We had 87 companies that aren't here. Just think if this were 4 or 5 times as large, the amount of commerce that we'd have going on here today. So in that bright spot, there's still room for us to do better. But let's stay positive. We do have 60 MWDBEs here today, the best and the brightest in Pittsburgh. We have 51 corporate supply chain procurement managers that are here making buying decisions to meet with you. And over the next 3 hours, we're going to have scheduled 194 separate matchmaking sessions. So this is unprecedented, at least in this town, to really bring together buyers and sellers to meet and develop new opportunities for each other. So this today is really all about bringing together world-class suppliers with world-class corporations that are committed to supplier diversity. And so for that, I'm extremely excited. So what's next? We're going to go through today's event. We're going to have very robust sessions. Next door, I took a walk through. It's great. The tables are lined up. There's a schedule. There are buyers and sellers getting together for rapid sessions to meet and hopefully lead to further relationships and commerce. But what do we do after that? Well, we want to walk away today and actually ensure that we're doing business with the folks that we meet today. And the first step is developing those relationships. But what do we do after that? We've got to continue these kind of matchmaking sessions. So, we've got a good core group in the organizing committee. What do we do next year? Do we have Share 2016? We can come up with a different name, but we want to do something even bigger. How do we engage those 87 that aren't here today to get them here next year? I mean, come on, Highmark and UPMC are both here. If we're both committed to this, surely those 87 can be here too, right? So, and I think the other thing we want to do is to really move the needle, we've got to focus on the C-suite. Because although we do have some C-suite representation, we have others that are managers and directors. And so we all know that things get done when the CEO is engaged, when the CEO is measuring, when the COO, the CFO, when the C-suite is engaged in this initiative. We won't need to, Tim, if you're here, we won't need a corporate equity inclusion roundtable. We won't need Share 2016 because we'll have engaged C-suite leadership that actually drives what companies do. They drive results, they drive initiatives, they drive resources, they drive hiring. So again, the simple solution to this age-old problem is C-suite engagement, transparency, and commitment. If we have that, we will move the needle, we will make progress. So thanks for attending. I'm excited about today's event, and I'll hand things back to Lynn to do the introduction for the matchmaking event. Thank you.
Someone asked me earlier to kind of explain what was going to happen today, and I said, well, it's kind of like speed dating. We're going to get people together and make connections. Only the difference is these are going to be lasting connections. I'm not sure how well those speed dating things work out. Rob mentioned the community partners earlier, and I want to just take a minute to introduce all of our community partners here this afternoon. I'm going to ask you to stand if you are present in this room. There will be community partner presentations here throughout the afternoon. We'll get back to that in just a moment, but right now I'd like to ask, when I call your organization or the individual representing the organization, if you could just stand. On behalf of the African American Chamber of Commerce of Western Pennsylvania, we have Doris Carson Williams. On behalf of the, and again, we'll ask you to hold all the applause till the end. Yes, you may sit down. On behalf of the Allegheny County Department of MWDBE, we have Ruth Bird Smith. On behalf of California University of Pennsylvania, GACO, we have Kate and Lacey Glodick. On behalf of the City of Pittsburgh, Valerie McDonald Roberts. She's out in the hallway. Representing the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, we have Jerry Swift. Representing the Eastern Minority Supplier Development Council, we have two individuals, Valerie Cofield and Alexander Nichols. Representing the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce of Western Pennsylvania, we have Ron Alvarado. Representing Navoba, Mimi Loam. Representing the Diversity Business Resource Center at Riverside, Judy McNeil. On behalf of the Small Business Administration, Karen Wagon. Was I right the first time or the second time? Okay. The Southwestern Pennsylvania Corporation, Sarah Francis. You're not Sarah, clearly. On behalf of the Urban Redevelopment Authority, Valerie Waters. And here representing Duquesne University SDBC, Gonzala Manchego. And we talked about Tim Stevens earlier. I'm not sure if he's here, but Tim Stevens representing BPEP. Rebecca Harris is here representing Chatham University. Colleen Hegland representing MED Assets. On behalf of the Master Builders Association of Western Pennsylvania, we have John O'Brien. And last, but we know certainly not least, we have Margaret Washington, a business consultant with UPMC. And let's give all of our community partners a round of applause. At this time, I'd like to have Paula Mendoza, the president and CEO of Possible Missions, to come forward. And she's going to give a presentation on just how that matchmaking session is going to operate.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know you're all ready to go, right? I'll tell you one of the things about matchmaking. Every once in a while we'll tweet out things about our projects we have, and instead of putting B2B matchmaking, sometimes we get some very funny responses when we put we're a matchmaking company. So we always want to make sure that we put that B2B before we put the matchmaking. Possible Missions, in conjunction with on-site partners, many of you know us, we've done very many of these matchmaking, business-to-business matchmaking events, actually all over the country, and we're very industry specific. This is the first time we've actually come together with a group like Share 2015 to have different industries in a business-to-business matchmaking. So we think it's going to be an exciting afternoon for you all. I see in our audience we have a fan out of Lance Hyde. We've done several projects for him here in Pittsburgh, and it's good to see you, Lance. I didn't see you slide in. But I am here to give you the play-by-play of what's going to happen, because it's going to get a little crazy, but it's all going to be fun, and when you're done, you get to go to a reception. So here's how it works. Most of you should have already registered up front as a buyer, supplier, and some of you were both. We want to make sure that if you didn't get your schedule, some have green and some have an orange schedule. You all should have one, or were emailed a schedule. All right, so our sessions start at 2:50. We are very prompt. They're 20-minute sessions. You have 15 minutes to give your elevator speech out there, and then a little bit of time for Q&A. In 13 minutes, we'll come in the room. We'll give you a 2-minute warning and say, let's wrap up your conversations. And at 15 minutes, we'll ask you to step once again back out into the lobby, into the foyer, so that we can get ready for the next session. It goes really quickly. I'd like for you to do two things. Is number one, make sure that you see what time you're scheduled. Some of the times, depending on if there were any changes, are not going to be in order. And please look at the table that you're assigned to. It may not always be the same table. In this case, we generally have the corporation, the buyer, sit at the same table. But if for some reason we had to move around some of the MBEs, then your table may be different. So please take a look at that table number. We will have 2 volunteers at each end of the room, which are next door, that make sure that if you're a buyer, that you have a supplier on the end, or if you're a supplier, you have a buyer on the other end. So if somebody misses a time, give us a quick second to go out and call those folks in, and then your meeting will start. It goes, like I said, very quickly. So 2:50, you'll have 15 minutes. There's 5 minutes to change and get ready for your next session. We want to make sure that you're respectful of everybody's time. So if you would please, as soon as we do the 2-minute warning, start wrapping up your conversation. Make sure you exchange business cards and get that information before you leave that table, because we would like for you not to come back in to visit with that buyer or supplier if your meeting's already finished. If you are looking to have an additional meeting assigned to you, well, here's the thing. We have 194 one-on-ones in approximately, is it 2 hours, Joel, to do this? So That's a lot of meetings. They go quickly. There's only 22 open slots available for you. So if you have met a buyer and would like to visit with them, go back to the registration table and ask for one of the young ladies with the possible mission shirts to see if that buyer is available. We will then send someone to ask him if he's okay with staying for an extra meeting, and we'll fit you in a slot. That slot can be at 250, it can be at 310, it can be at 340, it can be at 440. So make sure you stay around the area if you've asked us to try to schedule another meeting so we can get you in, okay? We want to make sure that we do as much as we can, and there are some extra tables, so we can move you aside. So we're going to do everything we can if you've met somebody today that you want to meet with. So just make sure you stick around once you've asked us. It might not be in 20 minutes or 40 minutes, but it'll come up. So just want to make sure. So these sponsors for today have also provided you with, or provided us with, some giveaways. There's 7 giveaways that will be given away during the reception. Here's how you can qualify. You have to do the online survey. It's really important for us. It's really important for our sponsors also, so that they know how well worth the effort, the time, and the expense. And we value the feedback. So you were sent an email that gives you the online information. If you don't have it, come back and see us. We'll shoot you that email again. I'm sure everybody in here has some kind of iPad or iPhone or mobile device. If you do that, once your meetings are done, we don't want you to do it before. But once you're done with your meetings, if you'll please do that, it gets submitted, your name goes onto a list, and that's where it will be, the 7 drawings will be taken from, okay? One last thing, please, please, please do this. It helps us keep track of who actually came into the meetings. Even though you've registered, sometimes we get a little off track. When you sit down at your table for your meeting, both the buyer and the supplier, you will see another schedule like this. There's a place for you to initial. Just put your initial that you were actually there sitting down having that meeting. For both the buyer and the supplier, it also gives us an opportunity to take some good data back for our sponsors. So that was quick. It's gonna go very quick. It'll be a very productive afternoon. Like I said, we've done this several times, and we've had such great success here in Pennsylvania as well as around the country. So it gets a little crazy. Be patient with us out at the desk. But like I said, most of the meetings are already assigned and ready to go. Do not enter the room before your meeting time, please. We'll have some volunteers, because that's just a little disrespectful to the others that have meetings. And we'll help you if you get a little waylaid. We'll help you with that. So just please bear with us, have some patience, and have a good afternoon. We assure you it's going to be very productive. Thank you.
Now, while those meetings are going on, there's a lot of other things to do to keep you occupied. There are refreshments out in the foyer. You can certainly interact and network in the foyer. And I introduced to you earlier the 13 community partners. And while the afternoon is going on, each of those partners will be presenting in-depth information about their organizations and how this all fits together. So feel free to come and go in this room, which is where the community partners will be presenting for the next few hours. And again, there will be refreshments out in the foyer until 4 o'clock, and then there will be a buffet dinner beginning at 5:30. So, 4? The buffet dinner begins at 4? 4, okay, it's earlier than I thought. That's good news. So at this point, we're going to have you begin to gravitate toward, if you have one of the first meetings scheduled, you'll kind of move into that area. If you're going to stay here, our first community partner to present is going to be Doris Carson Williams on behalf of the African American Chamber of Commerce. If you need to refresh your coffee or tea, you can do that, but this is now where that all-important interaction will begin. So you can move into your respective areas. Give them a minute. Yeah, I was going to say, we'll give folks a minute to get situated, and then I'll introduce you. Will she let you keep it?